knows which lawyer you should choose. Other lawyers know. They've invited Gary C. Johnson to teach his method of judo law in Denver, Atlanta, New Orleans, and across the nation. Gary used judo law to set the record for the largest personal injury verdict in the history of Kentucky. Now, which lawyer should you choose? The choice is clear. Gary C. Johnson. This is an advertisement.
If you're hurt, injured, don't waste time. Gary Johnson cries for every dime.
Welcome to Simply the Law of Life, a program created by attorney Gary C. Johnson. Simply the Law of Life provides free legal advice and encourages happiness and quality of life. Now, here's Simply the Law of Life with Gary C. Johnson and Keith Casebolt.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into Simply the Law of Life. I'm Keith Casebolt, the creator of the program, my dear friend Gary C. Johnson.
Isn't it wonderful to be here? How you guys and gals doing? Woo-hoo! We lived another week, and everything went well. No fights, no criticizing, condemning, and complaining. It was a wonderful week, right? And if you didn't, make up right now, okay? Get back over here together. I know one's on one side and one's over here, so get back over here together. Huh? Isn't life wonderful? The fact we can do all of these things and still be together. It's a great world, guys and gals. Unbelievable how wonderful this life is. And I hope you're enjoying every second of it. I want to start off with something, we never want to do anything negative on the program, but this came in. The guy brought me this the other day, this form, and said his insurance company, State Farm, had sent it to him in a letter. And it's a form that says over here, Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Insurance. I don't know if you can see that or not. And then over here on the other side, it says no-fault rejection form. Now it appears when you look at it that it's something official from a government, and something that you need to fill out and sign, right? Don't do it. It's from your insurance company, and they're trying to trick you. Okay? Don't fill it out. Now, why don't you fill it out? It's a no-fault rejection form. When you buy your policy, the law requires the insurance company to sell you no-fault insurance, and they require them to put it on your policy unless you reject it. Now, why would an insurance company want you to reject it? Huh? It's not a good deal for them. Why is it not a good deal for them? No matter who's at fault in the wreck, if you don't and have it rejected no fault, there's $10,000 that's immediately available for you, even if you're at fault, for your wages and your medical. $10,000. Now, that may not sound like a lot of money to some people, but I'll bet you there's a bunch of the people watching this program right now that's a lot of money, a whole lot of money. Now, what would you do? Just remember, 50% of every accident, you can't file a suit. Why? Because 50% of the people are at fault. Two people run in together, one's at fault and one's not at fault, right? Well, the one not at fault gets to sue. The one that is at fault, they don't get to sue. They need this no fault, the people that are at fault, and the other people need it at fault because it's immediate. This $10,000, there's no hassle to go through. There's nothing. You just fill out a form, and the insurance company has to pay it. Trust me, insurance companies don't like no fault.
Gary, you had told me one time that a guy had told you, hey, $10,000's not a lot of money unless you owe it. So if you owe $10,000, it's a lot of money. But just to recap this, our government said we want everybody to have no fault because it's that important that our people need it. They went a step further and said if you don't want it, you have to fill out a document showing that you've declined it.
Official form.
So then the insurance company gets the document, puts it into a letter, mails it to all the people that have insurance. People open it, they see it, they're confused, they go and fill it out and send it back in, and voila, they've turned down their no-fault insurance.
That's right. That's why I'm putting it at the very beginning of this program. If you have anybody that you know that has State Farm insurance that got this form, please tell them to not fill it out. They don't have to. It's almost like a trick. I don't know why they would choose to send this. Maybe other insurance companies are doing it too. But this one I know came from State Farm. I saw the envelope, okay? Don't fill it out. That's the last thing in the world you ever want to do is reject your no-fault coverage. Now, if you're rich, go ahead. It's okay. You're not going to need the $10,000. But if you're like most people, where you live check to check, or right now unemployment check to check, you desperately need to have this $10,000 available if you're in a wreck. And trust me, you never know when you're going to be in a wreck.
You know, you came in the other day to do the radio program, and you said, Keith, we do programs about happiness, but it's hard to be happy when somebody pulls a trick on you like this, and then you get in an accident, and you need the $10,000 no-fault, and you find out you've declined it.
That's why, my friends, I'm pointing this out to you. If you have filled it out, get with your agent and determine what you have to do to change it. This is vitally important for you. This is not going to help me in any way. It's not going to help Keith, but it's extremely important. You're not going to be very happy if you're in a wreck and you don't have that no fault.
Gary, before you close out on this, let me ask you one question. So a lot of our friends have said, oh, I've got it. It's here. I haven't filled it out. Thank you for telling me not to. What about our friends who may have said, uh-oh, I've already filled it out, I've signed it, I've mailed it back, now what on earth do I do?
That's what I just said. Get with your agent, find out what the form is to undo it. Make them give it to you and send it in. You do not want to be in the position of having rejected your no-fault coverage, because wrecks happen every day. Everybody watching this program, I guarantee you that you've almost been in a wreck. It's that simple. It happens just like that. You never know when it's going to happen to you. You need, and the legislature years ago felt like the citizens in Kentucky needed this protection to be able to have access to at least $10,000, whether they were at fault or not, to keep them from being in a world of hurt. That's like $200 a week for lost wages that you can get up to that $10,000. You can reserve the PIP, the thing, for all lost wages. Now think how important that would be to you if you were in a wreck, even if you caused it, and you had access to that money. So do not fill out this form. Do not do it.
I was thinking the whole
Even
time,
though it looks like it's official from a government and you're supposed to fill it out, it's not, okay?
I was thinking, Gary, the whole time you were talking, if we're checking into a hospital, even if we're buying a car, people slip forms in front of us all the time, and we're initialing and we're signing, and I asked you about it, and you said, Keith, unless you're an attorney, you have no idea what's in those things.
That's right. The guy that brought this to me is not dumb, but he believed that because it was an official-looking form sent by his insurance company, State Farm, that he had to fill it out. Okay? I don't know if any of you got caught in that trap, but don't reject your no fault, ever. All I got to say about it.
Good information.
Now, let's go to the computer and talk about some stuff that maybe make us feel a little better, as hope.
There you go.
Instead of this negativity. We don't like negativity, do we, but friends? There's our number. We have an office in Lexington and Pikeville and Hazard. I put the Lexington one up simply because it's the most recent office and you folks may not be familiar with it. GaryCJohnson.com if you need to reach us. Right at the end of the program last week, I started talking a little bit about health and we got really rushed. I haven't been sick in years, as Keith can vouch for, right, Keith?
Yeah, the only illness that you've had in the 22 years that I've been with you is COVID, and I gave you the COVID. So this man has been perfectly healthy, except for the old trusty sidekick here that gave you COVID.
And I really didn't have any problems with COVID.
No, you didn't.
So now why have I not been sick? Maybe it's just because I'm so handsome. What do you think?
Pure of heart.
Pure of heart and handsome. Boy, wouldn't that be right? Oh, it doesn't work that way in the real world. I'm going to tell you what I've done over the years. Number one is I have tried to not take pills other than health supplements that I buy over the counter. Here's why I, years ago, decided that I would, even if I was offered pills, that I probably wouldn't take them. And it was just me making the decision. Fortunately, I've not been. I guess if I really had to have one, I'd take it. And some of you have to have them, so you take them. How many of you that's got a few years on you can ever remember there being any dialysis places where you go for dialysis 20 or 30 years ago? There wasn't any, right?
Yeah. No, I'm sitting here thinking 40 years ago, I'm trying to think what kind of medicines people took. They really didn't take much.
That's right. But yet, everywhere you look anymore, there's a dialysis place for you to go get your dialysis where your kidneys aren't functioning properly. In my opinion, and I'm not a doctor and I'm not any of those things other than I'm a lawyer, pills have something to do with that. So therefore, I've tried my best over all my years to stay away from pills. I still don't take any. That's prescribed for me. I don't do it.
Yeah, and Gary, the other thing that I think all of our friends can relate to, whatever the medication is, and it's by law, whenever you see a commercial for it, you always hear the side effects of what. And you know, some of them are quite comical because they'll spend 10 seconds telling you about how great the medicine is, and then the next 50 seconds is about all the things that it could possibly do to you.
But all the time they're telling you all the things it could do to you, they got a lady smiling and a man jumping and hopping and skipping and all of this stuff so that you won't listen to what the law requires them to tell you about the side effects, right?
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
That's right.
Look over here.
It's a fact. It's the way it is. Okay, let's go back to the computer. I'm going to stay on this health just a little bit longer. Now, whether this works or is worth a dime or not, I don't know, except I can only give you the anecdotal things from myself. I take every day, I take vitamin C. Every day I take a vitamin B12, a vitamin D3. It's actually D3 because that's all you can basically buy now. I take omega-3, which is a fish oil. And I walk at least 2 miles a day at the minimum every single day, rain or shine, period.
Wow.
Now that's what I do. And because of that, I am convinced I do not have to take any pills that doctors prescribe.
Boy, I was with you on all of the vitamins, and when you got to the walking 2 miles a day, that was the part where I said, uh-oh, now you're putting pressure on me. I'm going to have to do something.
Let's just talk about life a little bit, since it's simply the law of life, right? Everything that keeps us alive is regulated by our subconscious, called the sympathetic nervous system. It's your heartbeat, whether or not you sweat, all your organs and their function. None of it you have any conscious control over. You can't say, hey, kidney, won't you work right now, right? You can't say, liver, well, you need to speed up taking the toxins out of my system. You don't have any control over any of that, right? No, zero. Okay. That's because whoever created us, the good Lord or whatever, when you get right down to it, knew we didn't have sense enough to take care of ourselves. And he wasn't going to leave it up to us to do it. Now, what's my example that I can use for that? He gave us a couple of few things that we could actually have conscious control over, right? Just a few. One is how well we chew our food. How many of you chew your food properly to make sure that it doesn't cause a problem in your digestive system? Every one of us messes it up. Now, I guess if we had a thing that you push it to be automatic, then it would be different. But it's a choice we have, and we mess it up, right? The food we eat, we get to make that choice, right? And how many of us mess it up? Every day. Now you get to see why that all these other things aren't in any of our control.
So
You get a little hint of it.
So the good Lord said, I'm going to give you just a couple of things to do that you can be in control of. And then he looked down and said, okay, you screwed that up. I'm going to take over the rest of it. Make sure you don't stop your heart.
He even put us in charge of whether or not we would exercise. And how many of you mess that up? Us. So you can see why the good Lord made sure we couldn't control our heartbeat, because we'd be stupid enough to say, well, don't beat right now. And guess what would happen? It wouldn't. I'm just giving you an example of life and the things that we can control that we need to control, that we need to pay attention to, and we need to not fall by the wayside in doing our part to take care of ourselves. We can. It is our responsibility. And why am I getting off on all of this? Because remember, this year we want to be happy, right? If you're healthy, you're going to be happy. If you're not sick, more likely than not, you got an excellent chance of being happy, right?
You know,
So there's things you can do.
my friend, you did a program one time on the radio, and you said, I've got this great idea, Keith. What if everybody treated their body like they treat their car? You take your car in for maintenance. You make sure that you wash it. You take it out for a drive. You baby and pamper the vehicle. But here you have this temple, this body, and you mistreat it. You don't exercise it. You feed it the wrong stuff. You put pressure, undue stress upon it, all those things.
Your car will only last you 5, 10 years. Your body, it's the only one you got for the rest of your life. Right? I read something one time about how we view ourselves in the future, and I thought it was interesting. I'm going to share it with you. It said that when we think of ourselves in the future, we don't think of it as being us. We think of it in the same context as it's a stranger. Therefore, since we don't think of it in terms of being us, it doesn't register to us how important it is to take care of our bodies and our health, so that 5 years from now, we look back and say, I wish I had done X, Y, Z so that I would not be in the mess I'm in today. So my little pointer to you folks is, say to yourself, when you get ready to eat that stuff you shouldn't eat and not exercise, how will that stranger, which is me, in the future, going to think about me, and what are they going to say? Just say it to yourself. And make a decision that you're going to take care of that stranger in the future, which is you, just exactly as though it was you, so that you won't have those regrets of not trying to be healthy, moving, and taking care of yourself. Life is such a gift that it should never be squandered. I was with a 18-year-old client yesterday talking to them and had them fill out some papers. And one of the questions that was on it was, have you ever considered killing yourself? And she said, yes. And I said, oh my God, what a waste. And I looked at her and I said, you were put on this earth and you were given a gift just like everyone else has. You were given a talent. You were given something that would help you contribute to society. Why would you be so selfish as to deprive us of the benefit of that gift you had?
Yeah. You know, Gary, last week, unfortunately, I attended a couple of funerals. You always hate to see people pass this life. But I talked with several people at the funeral home, and they all said, you know, Gary's right. Every day is a gift, and we never know if we're going to have tomorrow. And I had people saying, from this point forward, I'm going to cherish every moment. I'm going to cherish the people around me. And you have talked about this for the last 22 years, radio and television, about today is what you've got.
Try living every day as though there may be no tomorrow, especially in your dealings with people. And you will find you have little or no regrets at the end because you did it the way it ought to be done. My friends, you are special. You have the ultimate gift of life. The good Lord gave it to you for free. For free. And I've said on this program before, and I'll say it again, can you imagine what a tree would give just to be able to know it was a tree? Yet we have all of these senses and all of these things that we have in life that are here for us, and we squander it. And we don't appreciate it, and we don't take advantage of it. So, yes, for the life that you're living, my friends, have a reverence for it and appreciate every second of it and live it to the fullest. And don't waste 1 second of your dash, not one.
Wouldn't that be, you know, you talked about the young lady, and that is heartbreaking to think someone at the age of 18 years old would even have that thought. When you and I are shooting for 120.
Oh, yes.
At least. But even if it's 120, wouldn't it be the greatest feeling in the world when that time comes to be able to say, okay, I'm ready, did everything, said everything, loved everybody that I could, lived it to the fullest, my dash is complete. What a ride.
I'm going to talk to you maybe next week about intelligence. I'm not going to have time to do it this week because I wasted a lot of time, right? But
I thought it was a good conversation.
there's 8 types of intelligence in this article that I've read from Harvard that they say we all have, the different types. Some have more than one of them, and some have. I don't think there's anyone that doesn't have at least one of them, because when you were born, there's no question you were given a talent of some sort, something that you're better at than at least 10,000 other people. Because if that wasn't true, then society couldn't operate. We wouldn't have anything, nothing would ever happen. If everybody could do the same thing, nothing would get done. You'd have a whole lot of music being played, but everything else would go, or whatever, and it would go into, in a handbag. That's why I guarantee you every single one of you has a very special talent that's watching this program right now. You have very special fingerprints, right? Mm. You have. I bet you in the whole universe there's not another nose like yours. Think about that. I'm mighty proud of my nose, aren't you? I'm just kidding on that, but it's true. You are so unique, just so unique, that I hope you tell that voice inside your head every morning. You say to it, and whatever you name it, Keith or Gary or whatever, that little old chatterbox that keeps putting you down, that you say to it at least every morning, I am unique. I am wonderful. I am a human being, and I was born, and this is wonderful.
Boy, this is going to cause a lot of conversation in the morning when people are in their bathroom and the wife or the husband's on the outside and they hear them going, I am wonderful, I'm unique. They're going to think, what's going on?
Every time you say anything negative about yourself, even in joking, it is registered in your subconscious. Every single time. Make it a point, my friend, to never say anything negative about yourself. If that voice inside your head starts saying something negative about you, ask it why. Ask it, say, hey, if all of that's true, how come I was born, huh? Somebody thought I was pretty good or I wouldn't be here, right? Talk to it. Whatever you need to do, use whatever technique you can, but understand, do not let yourself be put down into negativity. Because there will never, ever, 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 and I've said this so many times, never be another you. And my God, if that doesn't make you feel important, nothing can.
And you know, your point is well taken. Not only will there never be another you in the future, there was never another you in the beginning.
That's it.
You're
It's
the Mona
it.
Lisa, the one and the only.
You're it.
And yet we've got people that will let their feelings be hurt because somebody with less intelligence would say something bad about them or hateful to them or put them down.
Just remember, my friends, you're in charge of how you feel. You're not in charge of how somebody else feels. You're in charge of how you feel.
Boy, isn't that going to kill a lot of conversations when people can look at other people and say, I don't care what you say about me. Gary Johnson says that I am unique and wonderful and a one of a kind. So
I learned years ago that it didn't matter to me what anyone said about me. Because the only issue that mattered to me was how I felt. I had control over that. And you have control over it. So if any of you are feeling that you're not worthy, you are. You're very, very important and you're very, very worthy. And we need you to use your talent. All of us needs, everyone needs to use their talent. Then we will have a wonderful society. If you don't use your talent, we won't.
great program. Great program.
So,
And listen, at the beginning, Gary told you about the document. If you have State Farm insurance and you get one of those letters in the mail with the document, do not decline default.
do not fill it out. Throw it in the garbage where it belongs.
It'll be hard to be happy if you end up doing that. My friend, thank you so much for the information. Thank you so much for tuning in to Simply the Law of Life. On behalf of Gary C. Johnson, I'm Keith Casebold. As always, Gary and I look forward to seeing you again next week, right here at this same time.
Thank you for watching Simply the Law of Life, a program created by attorney Gary C. Johnson. Until next week, may you be safe, blessed, and happy.
If you're hurt, injured, don't waste time. Gary Johnson cries for every dime.
Who really knows which lawyer you should choose? Other lawyers know. They've invited Gary C. Johnson to teach his method of judo law in Denver, Atlanta, New Orleans, and across the nation. Gary used judo law to set the record for the largest personal injury verdict in the history of Kentucky. Now, which lawyer should you choose? The choice is clear. Gary C. Johnson. This is an advertisement.